Yeah, I mean, you can't start any podcast of ours without there being a slight hiccup.
Yeah, but
so
hey,
you guys probably
it's
caught
8
that
p.m.
if you're
on the
watching
nose.
concurrently. Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 14 of the Brews with the Dudes podcast. I am Jake Lindquist.
And I am Donnie Allen.
Yes, you are. And we are doing a podcast, as you can tell, as you followed the link to the place.
Thank you for joining us. As you might notice from a previous podcast, we have new headgear on.
My God, I know. And it's not the kind that fixes your teeth.
Or your back.
Yeah.
So big shout out right away to Aiden Briggs for lending us his equipment to kind of test out some things.
I know. It's crazy to think that, like, the dude was just like, oh, you want to borrow the equipment? Like, just go ahead.
Yeah, he's like it's all in a tote.
Yeah.
Just don't break it. Have fun. Like, okay,
yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Which is basically like he's co-signing our idea that we desperately needed to step up our audio. Because if you guys were present for last week's podcast,
which you'll never see,
you will. Yeah, we pulled that one down. Because it was just so bad. The audio, it wasn't great for the first 50 minutes or so of it. And then out of nowhere, it got like Grand Canyon level of echo.
Yeah, it was really,
horrendous.
really bad.
I mean, there was such a delay to it that it was just like, you'd say something, you'd be like, echo, 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 echo. Like, it was like a second delay. It was just horrendous.
Yeah, so like I said, he hooked us up and we have a soundboard and headphones and mics and stands, and it sounds fantastic.
Yeah, and it sounds it's so good that I think you'll hear farts if you really listen.
That could also be from dinner tonight.
Yeah, because we are a couple of dads.
As always, though, if you guys see any issues or hear any issues, let us know, and we will try to fix that on the fly.
Yes, please let us know if there are any quirks. Again, we are. This is new equipment, and leave it to us to screw things up. So
Speaking of which, I didn't pull up my history information that I needed.
So that's perfect.
I gotta do that right now.
Go ahead and pull that up. Okay, so with Brews with the Dudes, these podcasts they're not like centered around drinking beer, but I mean that's what we do. We're dads. We drink beer. So we do a beer of the week every week, and this week we've got actually two different kinds, and the reason for that is there is one that Donnie, you're more on the like dark beer end of the spectrum.
Yeah, I'll drink anything, but yeah, I prefer my porters and my stouts.
Definitely, yeah, and I'm more of like an IPA. And actually what we have here is one of my favorite types, but it's slightly different than most of them, where it's got a few different flavors added into it. So I tend to like IPAs, pale ales.
I love IPAs as well.
And I do like dark beer as well, but I mean, if you can chew it, that's your preference.
Oh, yeah. I want to be able to skip lunch and just go straight to drinking beer and then be full till dinner.
Right, yeah, exactly. It is a loaf of bread in liquid form. So with that said, we have two different kinds of beer, and one of them is the test to see if you like it. If you don't like it, I'm not going to like circumcise you or something like that. But
if I don't like it, I'm just going to throw it across the shop.
That's perfect. Just to be careful of the equipment because it is borrowed.
So miss the equipment, miss the Ford.
Yeah.
Aim towards the LS parts?
Yeah.
Is that,
yeah.
Is that the safe way?
Probably what a lot of people would prefer. So let's jump into this. Let's crack open a beer and get to chatting about all of the happenings of this week, which there's a lot of them.
There's a ton of stuff going on. Beer.
Yeah, it's amazing, this audio. Like, you can pick up
I can hear you open
everything.
The cooler. Yeah, this audio is so good, you start to question reality when you take the headphones off.
You really do. Yeah, you really do. It's sort of like, which parallel universe are we in? Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, what we have for the beer tonight, at least this is the one to kick it off, is a Inbound Brew Company Pedal Pounder, and that is it's a saison. So I love saisons. It's a very summery beer. It's got a really unique flavor to it. It's tough to describe what these things are like, but it's very. It's got a hint of fruit to it. It's kind of pale ale-y, but it doesn't have a ton of bite. It's really smooth. It's a unique beer.
I like that kind of stuff. It's just you picked a rainy fall day to have a nice summer beer.
I know. Today would have been appropriate to have like the Scotch ale that we had a couple weeks back. So this one's actually a mango hibiscus, which is the strangeness to it. That, I mean, I couldn't find a Saison that didn't have the funk to it, so we'll see what it's like. Now we actually have to open these away from the audio, which is
you can still hear that.
so funny. Just gonna check in. Let us know, guys. Again, if there's any audio issues, I wouldn't think at this point that there would be. Everything looks good on the sensors.
This is super good.
Yeah.
This is really, really good.
Okay. So what else does it say on this thing? A fresh and floral Saison brewed by it's either founders or pounders. With a pounder's worth of real hibiscus petals.
What's
plus
a pounder's
juicy.
worth?
A pounder's worth?
What term of measurement is that?
I think it's a made-up one. Oh, that is really good.
It's not overpowerful.
No, it's not.
Like with citrusy type beers, I noticed it's really easy to be too bitter or too sweet, you know?
Yeah.
As this is like just a hint. Just enough to give it some flavor, but not enough to like kick you in the throat.
Yeah, it is relatively subtle. Okay, so yeah, I mean, where on the flavor palette would you call? Whoa, the beer itself is pink.
Is it? Oh no shit!
That's weird. Okay, so Saisons aren't usually pink colored. Wow, this is very different for a Saison.
I like this.
It's good. It's really
In
good.
Pound Brewco. Where'd you pick this up? This is a Super one.
27th West liquor store.
Is that's not the one that gets robbed all the time, is it?
Yes.
Okay, is that
every
one?
single time? Yeah.
So
probably daily.
Okay, so go there like after work.
Their sneeze shield isn't actually a sneeze shield.
just a
It's actually a
bulletproof vest.
bulletproof thing. Yeah, exactly.
It's just Kevlar.
Specialized glassware. Okay, so where do we want to start today? We've got quite a lineup.
Since you brought the beer, I brought the history this
You're
time.
bringing the history
I'll
this
bring the
time.
history.
Okay, because that's just what old farts do, right? Is that we talk history.
You're still older than I am.
Yeah, by quite a bit. All right. So today's history. Oh, and you guys at this point, you're going to notice the layout has changed significantly.
Yeah.
So with the horseshit audio from last week, I decided I'm just going to put as much time into this thing as I can and revamp things. So that's why it looks a lot prettier now. Now we've got a lot more character to it and, better layout.
Yeah, I think it looks way better. It looks more professional.
Crazy old car that looks like it's got Teddy Roosevelt sitting in the driver's seat.
So
Tell us about it.
on Thursday, the 21st of September in 1893, 127 years ago, the first U.S. car manufacturer, I don't know how to pronounce this. I think it's pronounced Durye. It's Duryea.
Dirty, eh?
Durye
That's like
Motor Wagon Company, founded by brothers Charles and Frank, unveiled their one-cylinder ladies wagon.
One-cylinder lady. Oh, it's like a feminine wagon.
Yeah, it's a ladies' wagon.
It's a ladies' wagon.
Yeah, it's a ladies.
Is that like a euphemism for the booty? The ladies' wagon.
I'm not too sure. What? Maybe it's got a really snarky personality to it.
Yeah,
at times.
maybe at some point in the month it just bitches at you.
Yeah,
for no
you don't
reason.
take care of it, so it just falls apart and just gets mad.
I guess. Okay, so yeah, that thing's pretty wild looking.
Yeah, so that
so
was
this was the first American car.
Yep.
Period. Like this is obviously pre-Ford days.
In Springfield, Massachusetts. So that is, I think that's a picture of the brothers as well.
Okay, that would make sense.
It didn't say in the image, but
so one looks like Teddy Roosevelt. One looks like he could be Nazi, maybe. Okay, and so these are the same blokes, or what?
Okay, so the downside to finding a vehicle in 1893 is it's virtually impossible to find pictures of.
You mean that they're not tagged on Facebook?
No, I tried to find them on Instagram, but
yeah.
So I'm not 100% sure. I think that's the brothers. But I don't believe that car manufacturer lasted.
Okay, so this had a one-cylinder
motor on it.
One-cylinder motor. Any idea what the CCs was? What was the size of it?
Trying to find that now. It traveled.
It was 4 horsepower, probably, if that.
Let's see here. So, driven by Frank, won the Chicago Times Herald race in Chicago on a snowy Thanksgiving Day. He traveled 54 miles at an average speed of 7.5 miles per hour.
Wow. That thing made 7.5 miles per hour with 2 people on it. One dude on it?
Just the one dude on it.
That's actually pretty impressive. You know, if you think about it, and like in terms of rotational mass, if you think about like the gearing and stuff too. I mean, I don't know what those wheels actually weigh. They're probably wood, so they probably don't weigh shit.
Probably not.
So it's probably not a lot of unsprung weight, but I I mean, I wonder what the gearing's like. If it maxes at, if it's cranking pretty high RPMs for 7 miles per hour, or like what kind of speeds that thing would actually hit.
Maybe 10. I bet you 10 downhill.
Yeah, like downhill.
Yeah.
The irony is that like just inertia and weight, just sort of like carrying its momentum
we'll take
downhill.
it 10 miles an hour.
I bet you it would go faster. I bet you the motor is what's going to hold it up. It's going to like valve float if it has valves.
At that point in time, I mean, you're not putting wear and tear on a horse. You're not having to worry about animals attacking your transportation and stuff like that.
Right. And if you think about it, it's kind of like, I mean, can you imagine the excitement? Somebody made a self-propelled machine that can transport you.
Think about
at this point, they're probably just signed off on the horse thing. They're like, I cannot wait to start seeing more vehicles on the road driving,
Yeah, and
horses
think about
yesterday.
being a 10-year-old boy in a little farm town and the first time one of those rolls through.
Oh, that'd be wild.
It's not like you have social media where everyone's posting pictures. You're like, oh, cool, I see this concept and all that. Your word of mouth and the newspapers is what you're going off
God,
of.
that's so true.
And, a lot of kids then didn't read the newspaper, probably didn't pay too much attention to what their parents were talking about.
I don't know anything about the 1800s, but how well do they distribute information and newspapers in the first place, So, yeah, I mean, it would be pretty incredible to be sitting around and then, like, you're used to seeing horse and buggy.
Then that comes around and you're like, where's the horse?
Put, And just, like, the funny sounds that those things make, too. I mean, it'd be pretty odd. And prior to this, you're probably seeing steam-powered stuff. You'd see locomotives and whatever else they produced, but to see something that's
like that.
internal combustion, that's pretty sweet.
And not something for personal use like
what
that.
was the year of this again?
1893.
1893.
So
so I thought in the 1898, God, was it Mercedes? I'm gonna butcher this. I could have swore another manufacturer that might even be around to today, produced something. Bugatti? I think it was something like that. That there was some very early car that was produced.
I don't know if it was Bugatti, but there's a European manufacturer that was right around the same time period.
Yeah, and they produced like their first car, and I actually think it was less buggy. I think it was a little bit more car shaped. But
this doesn't say anything about the Europeans in it.
We'll have to revisit that next week if we so feel inclined to do so. So okay, that's our history for the week.
That is.
All right.
First American car.
Let's take a look here. We've got a few people on. We'll give it a little bit more time before we dive into Cruise for Cancer.
Yeah.
So what do we got here? We got the video topic of the week. Should we chat about that?
We have that, and we have dad moments.
We have dad moments.
Or a dad moment.
Yes. You have a dad moment, and your dad moment does not require a photo.
It kind of does.
Do you have a photo? Oh, snap. What? That's amazing. You're really sharing that on a live podcast.
Yep.
That's friggin' awesome. All right, so that's the inside of his wife's uterus.
So she is pregnant with number 3 now.
Holy shit, dude, that's awesome.
So we had our first ultrasound.
Hell yeah.
That was my doctor's appointment and why I was 10 minutes late today.
We just failed at COVID. Sorry, everybody. You guys are watching us actively get each other sick. That's friggin' awesome.
So
you waited until the podcast to announce this. That's so cool.
I've known, obviously, for a while.
Well, congratulations on...
I figured this would be a good time to tell you.
Shooting swimmers, it works.
Yeah.
That's always a good feeling.
I did a lot of work to make this happen.
And you're going to do a lot of work from here on out.
Yep. I just dumped a load.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Being a dude's so simple.
I know, it's the best. Let's be real. Wow, man. Okay, well, I understand why you don't have a photo to load now. So, I mean, normally...
I didn't know how else to hide it from you.
You're too busy loading other things.
So I figured that'd be the best way to do it.
That's amazing, man. All right, cool. So how much does it weigh?
I don't know. But it's got a heartbeat.
That's good. Well, that's what counts. Oh, that's exciting. So that's what your doctor appointment was today?
Yeah.
Nice.
So that's why I was 10 minutes late. We had construction on the way back.
That's awesome.
So she's due May 3rd.
God, that's so funny. Cool, man.
Which I think May 3rd might be Glenn's birthday.
Nice. So he's stuck sharing it.
It's apparently a good day for
Man, what's funny too is like, and talking about that. So my wife's due. Well, she was due as of almost a week ago.
Yeah, like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if she calls while we're out here tonight.
Right. That's why the phone is on. But yeah. So like, this is actually birthday week for he and I. I'm born on the 21st. He's born on the 23rd.
Many years apart.
Many years apart. I am much younger than he is. But yeah, so my daughter, I'm not. My daughter was actually due a few days before my birthday, but we thought like, oh, maybe she'll actually pop out on my birthday. So it's kind of funny that you talk about this one's due on Glenn's birthday.
Yeah, it's just funny how that works.
It is. Well, congrats, man. That's freaking awesome.
Yeah, so
sweet.
Three kids running around.
Yeah.
Someday.
So Brews of the Dudes, a dad mods podcast. Dads doing dad things.
Yeah,
making babies.
That's the only dad thing I can share this week.
Fuck yeah. All right. Well, I'd say that's kind of a fantastic dad moment. All right. So something completely unrelated and not nearly as important. Let's talk about the video topic of the week. Okay. So Nissan 400Z or whatever the concept
I don't know
they're
what they're
calling
gonna call it.
So we had a 350,
a 370.
So 370. So shouldn't this be the 390?
But it's Nissan, so they won't. Maybe they'll just call it the Z.
The Z, yeah, right. Well, yeah, I mean, what did they do with the Skyline? I mean, they dropped Skyline altogether.
Just the GTR.
The GTR, yeah, which is so strange. I don't know why they. Well, in Japan, didn't they continue calling it the Skyline? I don't know. I don't think they called it the GTR there.
I'm not sure. I think you're right though. I think that they just call it the Skyline.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not exactly sure because they don't have different trim levels either.
No.
Like in Japan, if you look at the R34, there's a variety of. Well, actually, I got to back that up. I don't know if they had different trim levels for the R34. Yeah, they did because they had 4 doors.
Oh.
They even had a wagon, if I remember correctly.
Yes, they did have a wagon. I've
Yeah.
seen pictures of the wagons. The wagons are sweet.
Yeah, as long as it's not like whatever that one is, the mechanical Stig built.
Yeah.
That's I don't even know. Put an R34 front end on it and whatever.
Yeah, what is that?
Kind of drawing a blank on it, but yeah. So Japan has a variety of trim levels. So it makes you wonder how their badging, labeling, and stuff worked over there. Because here we're lucky to get a Skyline.
Yeah, the fact that we got
the
GTR is impressive as hell.
Yeah.
So
Anyway, so this is the new concept car that Nissan just rolled out. It's actually pretty exciting if you think about it. It's a real thing that's obviously on the road. They're testing it out.
Yeah,
they're not for sale yet.
It's completely made by Nissan.
Yeah,
and
it is not like Toyota, who's doing badge engineering.
Yeah, and it's got a manual gearbox.
Yeah,
which is awesome.
That's really cool.
That's
I mean, that
Nissan.
is a direct nod to the enthusiasts.
Here's the thing, though. Didn't the GTR only come automatic?
It did, yeah. The GTR was paddle shift only.
Why though?
I think
paddle
shift only.
So is this a manual because they're like, oh shit, we screwed up the GTR and should have gave it a manual?
Maybe.
Or
maybe. I mean, if you think about it, manufacturers do. I mean, if they're worth a shit, they listen to what the consumer is asking for. And I mean, if you look at Toyota brought out the GT86,
yep,
or the BRZ.
So
they had that little thing. So they've been asking or listening to enthusiasts who've been saying bring back the AE86. And so that was kind of their answer for that. They kind of did, yeah. It's I feel like if anything, another good example is Ford. We've been bitching about the RS. We want the RS in the US, and then they brought it over. And I mean, yeah, they've had a handful of issues with the motors, but
a handful.
They're here, so that's a thing.
Yeah, that's true. Ford, I feel listens relatively well.
Relatively well. The Bronco is a hell of an example.
Oh yeah,
and
the Bronco looks great.
We'll talk next week a little bit more about the Bronco. I've got a video for us to do the conversation about. So this very well could be the presence of a manual gearbox might be just that. It might be them hearing the enthusiasts saying, bro, bring that shit back. Yeah. We like to roll gears.
Yeah, and as far as like modern remakes of classics go, I think they listened quite well. A lot of the body lines that are on this new Z really line up with the old Datsuns. I mean,
yeah, they really do.
The front bumper grill area could use a little bit of love, just something to spice it up a little bit. It's kind of But like the side profile, I feel really follows that line from the old Zs.
Oh, totally. Well, and here's the irony. I actually, if I had a little bit more time today, I had loaded up a series of images that are direct comparisons, where it's like they've got the new Z concept and the 280 or rather it's a 240Z.
I've seen some of those.
And it's sort of like the ass to the ass, and then like the front end to the front end, and the interior to the interior. And it's amazing how close it actually is.
That's good. They just give it a modern touch.
Yeah, I think that honestly Nissan did a really good job of nodding to the original styling cues.
I'm excited.
So my complaint, because I do have to point one thing out that I really dislike. I don't like the front bumper.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
I just think the mouth is too big.
I feel like they just kind of gave up a little bit. Like
It looks a little too simple.
Yeah, they designed the rest of the car. It looks really good. You know, big wheels. It's got a nice stance to it. Nice sharp lines. And then they got to the front bumper, and it's like it was the last day before their meeting. They're like, like we'll just go with it. Like they just kind of gave up. I feel it needs something. It needs a little bit of character to just finish the car.
Yeah, I think there's some truth to that. Yeah, for me, it's like, and I don't know, maybe like they're looking for extra airflow or something like that.
Well,
it might serve a functional purpose.
It is twin turbo.
It might reduce like its drag coefficient or something like that. But personally, I feel like shrink that opening a little bit more, and maybe put fog lights with little vents around it or something if you need to add a little bit extra airflow. But
I like that
I'm
idea.
not an engineer, so I don't know what the rationale is behind it. I just know that I think the mouth looks a little bit too big. Even if it was like 2 inches narrower, more colored bumper on the top, if that makes sense.
Yeah, actually, I think that would be a good way to do it.
I think that would look just a tiny bit better.
And like I said, we're not engineers. It very well could be for the intercooler.
Yeah, and in that
plain
case,
and
then
simple.
I'll just shut my mouth. And I mean, if it's strictly for the function of it, performance-wise, then
No, what I'm
makes
actually
perfect sense.
really excited to see, because we haven't seen any concepts of it yet, is the Nismo edition of this car.
Oh, you think they're gonna roll one of those out?
I bet you they'll roll one of those out probably the year after this gets released.
Oh, that'd be kind of cool. Yeah.
And
So if you think
this-
back to the 350 and the 370, those both had their sort of their launch, and then they had a Nismo that came out
Yep.
shortly
And
thereafter.
I think this car looks so good factory. It's begging to be modified.
Totally.
And I think the Nismo is going to be just incredible.
Yeah, definitely. Well, and what I find to be really exciting is that, like, I think we all, as enthusiasts, know that the electric motors are coming. And we know that the performance in those things are incredible. They're going to exceed gasoline engines. There's just less components, there's less wear, there's less heat, there's less so many
It's
things.
instant power.
Exactly.
Everything.
It's an instant torque power. But fuel injection is really so dialed in now that the amount of performance that they're pulling out of a lot of these cars is just insane.
Well, yeah,
so I'm excited to see what the power output is going to be for this thing. So
It's
it's twin
not-
turbo V6.
Yeah, it's not hard to make a reliable 300, 400 horsepower car now.
Exactly. It makes me think like, well, maybe this thing's going to be like a 350 horse car that still gets 30 some miles the gallon or high 20s or something
Completely
like that.
agree with you. I bet you that's exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah, it blows my mind. Like for a minute there, I was looking at Focuses. I was looking at the Focus RS and the Focus ST, and kind of pondering whether it was worth taking out a loan and buying a new car. And it blew my mind that because of the direct injection, you could run 87 octane on a turbocharged performance car that made almost 300 horsepower.
My
just blows my
86
mind.
shitbox BMW, who does not have forced induction, has to take premium gas.
Yeah, exactly. I know. It's like if you even like look at the 87 octane handle on the gas pump with the Subaru, it starts knocking.
Oh, yeah.
It's not running, but you just hear the pinging. It's terrible. So it's amazing to think that direct injection has gotten us that far. Yeah.
Oh,
It's
and
so cool.
There's so more to come too.
So it makes you wonder. I don't know if the newest Z is direct injection. I don't think so.
I think you're right.
Yeah, I don't think they are. And I don't know that they would roll that out with this one unless they absolutely had to. So, I don't know. We'll see.
God, that's a good looking car.
Either
though.
way, it's super cool.
Good job, Nissan. 2 thumbs up for Nissan.
2 thumbs up for Nissan, yeah. Okay, so you got anything else you want to touch on with the Nissan?
I want one.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, I love the interior,
I want
too.
an old Z, an old 240, 260. I'd love to have one someday. But
Yeah. Well, the trouble is, like, your moment to buy one
Was
was
like 10 years
about
ago.
8 years. Honestly, I'd say, like, even in the last 5 years, I think it's gone nuts.
Oh, yeah, they've
Before
skyrocketed
that,
in price.
people were figuring it out.
Yeah.
And I'd say 10 years is probably like 10 years ago, you could get them all day long for next to nothing. Hell, 10 years ago, you could get a 911, like a 70s or 80s 911 for next to nothing. Like,
Yeah,
they're
and-
pretty much giving them away.
And now I think a beat up, rusted out Z is going to cost you $6,000.
Yeah, probably.
Just to start?
Well, just watching like the E30 prices, it's insane.
Oh, yeah.
In the last year and a half,
They've
I think
skyrocketed
they've
up.
doubled.
Yeah. Yeah, there's
It's
a
crazy.
guy, I've seen him go $4,000 for cars that are in the same condition as my car, bone stock.
Oh, it's nuts.
It's like, how's that a $4,000 car?
Well, yeah, I've even seen some that are like, if they're clean, if it's a clean one and it's a '90s car,
Oh, yeah.
9,000
Oh,
all
yeah.
day long.
There's a teal one that popped up for sale
Craziness.
in Florida that's just gorgeous.
Unless it's an
And it's a-
ES. ES definitely, and that's like the lower trim model. That's
Yep.
the one with the 2.7 liter. That's like,
That's the one I got.
it's basically like a truck motor in it. It doesn't make quite as much power, whereas like the 2.5 liter, slightly smaller displacement, but much higher power output and a better power band too. It isn't quite so like instant peak and then taper off, you know?
Yeah, the weird thing is like people don't seem to care anymore if it's a 325
Oh, really?
IS, ES, if it the biggest thing is it a vert or not? Convertibles don't quite have
Oh,
the
that's
value
true.
just because they have the body flex.
Well, here's the thing though. I think once those the convertibles start gaining a little bit more popularity, there's going to be more demand for hardtops.
Oh, yeah.
And once people start really catching on to how good those look with the hardtops on them, it's going to change the market.
See,
They're going to be in
the
demand.
hard top alone is like $2,000.
Yeah.
Actually, I think it's more than that last time I checked.
Yeah, they're more than that. They're like 2,500, I
Yeah.
think, for a used one. But
but like-
somebody's going to produce one, I think.
Even four-door E30s are still going for $4,000, $5,000.
I know, right?
It's like, how? It's a four-door.
I know it's so funny to think about. So yeah, and in terms of like trying to find a Z, like an old Z car that's worth a damn, yeah, I think you're just gonna have a hell of a time trying to locate one now these days, unless you're willing to pay the cash.
The only classic cool car I've seen that's kind of stayed the same are bugs. Bugs,
Well, you
bugs
know,
don't seem to go up in price.
Here's the thing, like
buses do,
oh, buses are
but not
completely
bugs.
different.
And I
can
think
of
bugs maybe
worms,
because
yeah.
it's just flooded the market.
Well, yeah, okay, so I think the big thing holding back air cools, and I'm hesitant to say this on a podcast, not that we have much of an audience, but like had we had a bigger one, you don't really want to draw more people into the air cool market because it is such a special market, and I don't want the demand to skyrocket because I need to buy another Carmagia,
Yes.
and we need to build a bug.
There's one that popped up for $5,000.
Don't tell me that.
I almost sent it to you.
So I think what's about to happen is that the air cools are going to be the number one electric swapped car.
Oh,
and
completely
they're going to
agree.
go from being these 30 to 60 horsepower, slow as hell. You can't hardly take one to get onto the highway. I mean, you can't take a 35 horsepower, 1,800 pound car and get it on the highway fast enough unless people are slamming on the brakes,
Yeah, you become a nuisance to everybody around you.
As soon as electric swaps become much more commonplace and there's companies that are able to do it for you and there's kits that are available and the market kind of catches up to that sort of thing, I think it's gonna completely change the game because
yeah,
they're
and
so modular to begin with.
Yeah, there's probably the easiest car to work on.
Well, think
ever.
about like just the shape of it and the platform.
Hmm?
It's a floor pan that is separate from the body that you can unbolt.
Yeah, you can unbolt and then
So-
work on it on a workbench.
And like we were just talking about the other day, or maybe it was even today, you were telling me about that car show that you were watching on Motor Trend,
yeah.
where they built a false floor to house all of like the wiring and the fuel lines and the brake lines and all that kind of stuff. So it looked like perfectly smooth on the underside. It's kind of the same concept.
Yeah, you
so
can easily do that with a bug.
whoever's going to produce this is going to make a battery system that sits on the floor with basically like seat mounts on the top of it. Or it's probably not going to sit underneath because people want to slam these things. So you're dragging pan as it is. So really, it's probably going to sit on top. But I can't imagine that stacks of batteries is going to take up that much space.
No.
So I think that's kind of where things are going to go. And really, if you look at like the back end of the car too, what's easier than having either hub motors or having a single motor in the center with 2 output shafts on both sides? I think that's where it's going to go.
Oh, I completely agree. Well, and then you look at the buses, and they give you all the space in the world to hide batteries. Again, false floors, all that.
Oh man, the buses are a completely different can of worms.
Yeah. So
Isn't it crazy? Audio so good I can hear like my shoes.
yeah, I'm trying to like stretch my legs out a little bit.
Man.
Oh, and I hit the can.
You hit the can. Oh man, I love the fact that we got our audio dialed in. Yeah, so the Z, I do think that this thing has a lot of potential, and I'm excited to see where they go with it.
Yeah. Do we have a release date for it? I have not read
Not that I
anything
know
yet.
of.
Okay, yeah, I haven't read anything
Not that
either.
I know of. So let's dive into our marketplace.
Yes.
Dive into the marketplace. So
Yeah, look at that thing.
all right, so Marketplace is a segment where we find things on the internet, on Facebook Marketplace, and we share it with you guys. We find it interesting, we find it obscene, we find something...
Or maybe just a really
cool.
a really good buy. We had an old
Yeah.
Volvo that I think you shared.
Oh, man,
where-
the $500
God, we
unicorn
should've
Volvo.
bought that. We
It might
should've
still
bought
be
it.
available. We don't know.
Yeah, we went as far as I got approval from my wife to buy it and take it home.
Yeah, she approved it on the podcast.
Yes.
She was in the comment section saying, yes, go buy it.
Yeah, so
It was so cool looking.
if you guys ever stumble across something that's worth sharing, please share it with us. We'll talk about. We'll post it up.
Yeah, really, this isn't just for us.
No, this
If you
is,
guys find something really badass,
we're doing this for you.
really something really interesting, let us know, because we love talking about like the submarine last week. I'm
Yeah.
going to touch on some updates about that thing. The
Submarine.
the floating tomb.
Yeah, that's exactly what I would call it.
so what we have here is a 1963 Dodge 330 wagon chrome.
I don't know what the chrome is.
Chrome?
At first, when I saw it, I'm like, oh, he's just selling the chrome. You know,
Yeah,
like he's got
right.
spare parts, and like that's all I have.
4K is a good price.
That thing is sweet. So I don't know if you uploaded more than just the one picture from that
oh, I
post.
sure did.
Good. It's got like a wood. Yeah, look at that. Look how cool that is.
What I love about this is I'm pretty sure that's a computer monitor.
Is that?
I think it's a computer monitor. I think that's a
Oh, yeah,
keyboard
that's
next to it.
Right. Yeah, so this thing's been
So is
modified
this
a
guy's
little bit.
office?
Maybe.
He lives out of it?
Yeah, I would totally live out of that.
Oh, yeah.
That thing's incredible. I don't know what the factory interior, is supposed to look like. I don't know much about these.
Well, the front end doesn't look that great. But
No, we can get rid of all the blue.
Yeah, I don't know. I gotta say, man, like I really like it. I'm kind of wondering why you weren't trying to buy it.
Because I don't have $4,000. I would have to sell the
that's
BMW
fair.
to buy
Ooh,
that.
don't do that.
Yeah,
Don't
so
do that.
that's why. But if I had $4,000,
You can sell the Forester and buy that.
yeah,
That's a joke, dude. All right, so we've got a 318. It looks like.
yeah, I believe that's a 318.
So that's a great swap. I mean, I can't imagine they were making the 318 back in the 60s.
I
So that
don't
was
think they were
definitely
either.
some kind of a swap. They had probably some Hemi back then.
Yeah, so it's got a little bit more
Yeah.
power. It's probably a little bit more reliable.
Well, it's a 318.
Yeah,
I mean, does it get more reliable?
350 small block, but
Yeah. Or a D series Honda.
yeah,
Or a
Yeah.
EJ22E Subaru. Okay, so yeah, man, this thing's awesome. What I love about these cars is I love 60s cars, especially the early 60s.
they were trying so much.
They were. It
They were
was
trying really hard to get away from the 50s bubbly look.
it was
you
like
see?
a blend of space age with the 50s cues to it.
Didn't they make a space car
Yes.
in the 60s? Okay, that had like the dome.
Yes. Yeah.
totally drive
I'm
that.
drawing a blank on the name of it, but I'm pretty sure they debuted it at like, what is it? Oh my God, it was some engineering show or something like that. Some big, like, they had a future show or something where there was like, you bring out the whole things of the future. I'm drawing a blank on it. They made a movie about it. I'm sure Tom Hanks was in it. I don't know.
Probably. Did he look distraught through the whole thing?
Yeah, he was fiddling kids.
Yeah, on the way back, he got stuck on. Wait, he was fiddling kids?
Yeah, don't you know all like the conspiracy theories? Tom
No.
Hanks is a part of a pedophile ring.
Well, what the hell?
How do you not know that? Whatever rock you're living under, I'm jealous of, because all this crap that you read about doesn't help you. It doesn't make your life any better.
No,
it's just
I know there's the conspiracy theories about like some massive
pedophile ring.
Pedophile ring.
It's
And,
basically been proven.
has it?
Well, the whole Jeffrey Epstein thing.
Okay.
I mean, that was like Pedophile Island. You don't know anything about that either?
I know some.
Jesus, man.
I choose.
See, you're a rock. I just need to live under that thing with you.
There's
In holy matrimony.
There's
It's legal now.
Space.
We'll get a dog.
Name them Pebbles.
Couple of Shelties or something.
Shelties.
I feel like that's a gay man's dog.
Well, I mean, we both drive Subarus.
Yeah, that's true.
Do you like plaid?
Well, I was actually thinking about wearing plaid tonight. Thought about it.
Are you a big fan of the movie Birdcage?
I love the Birdcage. I'm wearing my Cruise for Cancer shirt tonight.
Oh, nice.
The one from like 2017? 2017, yeah.
I have a red shirt on.
That's great. You're very aware of the trends. All right, so my marketplace find for the week is a DKW.
Nice.
So if you guys aren't aware, Google DKW. It is a Russian auto manufacturer. They also made motorcycles. So that's where I originally found out about the DKW, is that somebody built the shit out of this really vintage DKW motorcycle. And I mean, honestly, they disbanded in like 66 or something like that. So everything's vintage that they had ever made. But
well, it's Russian, so
it doesn't look like anything
old.
too special from the front, but
thing
or
is
rather
so
from the
cool.
side. So yeah, it's this crazy old Russian van transporter thing.
you found that stateside?
It's stateside. It is in, I think, Montana.
I like the front end where it looks like they didn't quite know what they were doing.
Isn't it cute?
It
just
is.
looks like
It looks
kind of
derpy.
happy, very derpy. What's going on
It kind of
here?
reminds me of my dog when I get home from work. Like it looks kind of excited to see you,
Yeah.
but at the same time, it's like I shit on the floor. So like
Oh,
you know, like,
yeah.
I'm
that's
excited to
true.
see you, but you're
It
gonna be
does
upset in
look
about 5 minutes.
A little bit self-loathing.
Yeah.
It's sort of like frowny, but granted, that's also the cow pusher that's on the front of it.
Oh, yeah.
It does
Yeah.
kind of have that extra level of derp. It's kind of got like I had a stroke and that one part of my face is sagging.
Does only one door work?
Yeah.
Because of the stroke.
I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't doubt it. It's Russian, so
Yeah, that's
it might
true.
not even strokes aside.
Does it come with an AK-47?
Yes. Well, everything Russian comes with that. So you buy a Lada and it just comes. Yeah.
It's what the shifter is.
You just exactly pull up on the shifter and it's actually an AK. The AK-47 is more reliable, so you're really buying a gun and you're getting a car.
That's actually not a bad
So,
deal.
well, years back, I was in, I think, high school. So this was back in like the early 18th century.
Did they have electricity when you're in high school?
Yeah, so I was listening to the radio and I had to stop in my tracks because I could not believe the ad that came on. It was a Ford F-150 commercial that was like, buy a truck, get a gun.
Oh yeah, I remember hearing
You
about
heard
this.
about that?
I've heard
Okay.
about this. Yeah, it's buy a truck, get a shotgun.
He was like, yeah, it's buy a truck, get a gun. And it was like literally
America.
like that. Yeah, it was like Sunday, Sunday, Sunday. Buy a truck, get a gun.
after football, but before wrestling, come buy a truck.
After church, before football, get my F-150 and a shotgun. I don't remember what the shotgun was. I think it was like a Remington or something like that. But it's
That's a good gun though.
insane. Oh, it's not a podcast unless you got a bug flying around me. Yeah, and I actually washed my ass this week, so I don't know what's
Is our
going on with
audio
that.
good enough to pick up the bug?
Well, that's a really good question. All right, so we need to update the viewers on the submarine.
Yes.
So there's $1,000 submarine in Ashland.
And I bet you it's the best $1,000 you'll ever spend.
It fucking sold.
Somebody bought
It
that?
sold. So Brownie from the Pushin' Pistons crew.
Did he buy it?
He shared it. He didn't buy it.
Okay.
As far as I know.
I could see him buying it.
I could see him buying it. That's
He'd be like,
true.
I bought a drift sub.
So,
Okay, Brownie.
you're gonna drift when it doesn't run. You're drifting out to sea.
Yeah, then sinking immediately.
So this insane thing, and we can't actually have the viewers tune back to last week because
No.
we pulled the video down. Sorry. So in Ashland, Wisconsin, that's the state,
There you go.
not the town. In Ashland, this thing was for sale, which this guy wasn't even the builder of it. Somebody prior to him built this insane
So there
thing.
are two fools who bought the sub.
Well, 3. Somebody built it, someone bought it, now somebody else bought it. And who knows if there were people in between all of that.
So how many deaths has this thing?
I don't think it's seen any because I don't feel like it's seen a lot of water. So I'm going to guess that people buy it. They have big plans. It's weird. It's probably hard to run.
Probably.
It's probably kind of scary,
They're probably like, I'm going to get away from the government and just go down in the water.
Think about that, man. Like, I mean, for one thing, how do you go back up?
I don't know.
Once you've sunk it down, don't you need to change pressures?
Yeah.
So how do you increase pressure inside of it?
You must not be able to dive that deep in that thing.
So it, like, increases buoyancy. Well, God, if that's the case, then get some fucking scuba gear, because at least you're not stuck in a giant metal tomb.
Yeah.
So somehow this thing sold. I don't know who bought it. I don't know where it went. A homemade submarine sold.
Damn.
Yeah, that is hands down my favorite update of anything that we've covered.
That gives
on
me hope
Marketplace.
that dad mods will go far.
Oh yeah.
If people are dumb enough to buy a homemade submarine, people are gonna watch our show and we're gonna make it big.
Oh, totally. Yeah. Sure. Yeah. That's pretty flawless rationale. I can appreciate that. Yeah. So I don't know about you. I'm willing to build a lot of like handmade custom things.
Oh yeah.
A submarine is not one of them.
No, I would build a homemade. Yeah, we'll go with canoe. I don't know if I would build a boat. I'd start with a canoe and work my way towards a boat.
Yeah, I mean, I'd build a canoe. I'd definitely build a canoe. I'd build a sailboat.
Yeah, I mean,
because it's still you're not stuck inside of it. You're not
exactly
in it. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like I'll build anything. I'll build the cars. I'll build a 4-wheel. I'll build a cooler has a motor on it. I don't care.
Or a drift trike.
Or a drift trike. I still want to build a shopping cart with a motor on it. I think that'd be friggin' sweet. But I just don't think I could bring myself to do a submarine.
No, there's too much room for error. There's too much of the, oops, I forgot to do this, or I didn't calculate for that, and now I'm dead.
Right? Yeah, exactly. I know, it's freaking terrifying. So I think it's time for us to talk about Cruise for Cancer.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, so Cruise for Cancer, it's a very special event. This happens here in the Twin Ports. So the sort of, what is it? It's mostly in Duluth and Superior.
Yes.
I don't think it goes too far outside of
I think
those two cities.
There's a couple of places in Herman, like just surrounding area, but you're not going to go to Two Harbors. You're not going to drive to Cloquet. But this is the event of the year. Now, it's not a racing event. I mean, I think Brando was just sideways. But what it is kind of a rally. I guess it's a gumball rally style.
It's no gumball rally is a point A to point B type thing with like checkpoints in between. This is kind of like that, but it's actually more of like a poker run.
Poker run.
So if you're familiar with poker runs, it's you've sort of got your poker card, or you have to go pick up cards. It varies. Like people have kind of done this a million different ways, but so the point of it is that you're trying to hit up multiple stops in between. So Cruise for Cancer is we'll start by the point of it. So the name will kind of imply what exactly it's about. So it's about some family dealing with cancer. It's always in one of their kids, which is the most heartbreaking thing ever. And so what we do as automotive enthusiasts is it's ran by a gentleman named Tony Netzel. His daughter Rachel is assumed a lot of responsibility with it. She did an incredible job this year.
Biggest year to date.
Is it?
Yeah, it's the biggest year to date.
Oh, that's awesome. See, I know that like the head count is the biggest to date.
I don't know if the funds is biggest to date, but the head count is.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's what I'm really curious to see is like, is the actual, the money, is that going to be as big? Last year we raised $30,000 for a family. And the most amazing part of this is that most charities, you drive through Arby's and they're like, will you give $1 to dying sick kids and whatever? And you're like, Jesus Christ. Like, because you hear about so many different charities and whatever.
You give them their $1 and then it goes to the CEO and then it becomes 75 cents.
Yeah,
and they get taxed on it or whatever. And by the time it's all said and done, the family gets 10 cents of it.
Exactly. All the administration, they're pulling a bunch of money off the top and stuff. And then they've got their marketing and there's a million different things that a lot of these charities they pull off the top of it until there's nothing left. Cruise for Cancer is the opposite. Every single penny goes right to the family.
Yeah, Tony literally goes, Here you go.
It's insane.
Here's a bag full of money.
It's absolutely insane. It is literally that, and I've been there for it now, and now running the DSE car club, and delivering a lot of money for that, and seeing that it is literally cash being handed over is, to me, it's one of the most heartwarming things to think that, like, because let's face it, Uncle Sam wants his cut of fucking everything.
Oh yeah,
and it makes me sick, but. The fact that we go to this extent that the Netzel family volunteers so much of their time, and all of the companies, all of the local businesses that chip in money, all of the clubs that do, all of the individuals that go out to it that chip in, you purchase your card and they stamp it at each one of the stops. People have to purchase that card, and then all the businesses are chipping in for the goodie bags, and then
those random
the
donations
T-shirt at the
throughout
end of it.
all of it, and
exactly. And we, on top of it, like our local car club, Duluth Superior Car Enthusiasts, we have a stop along the way where you can go and you can sign a giant card, and that card gets handed off to the family, and it's sort of a well-wishing to the family. But it's also a money-making thing where it's like, if you sign it, you're signing it for $1, and that dollar is a part of a big pot that goes on top of all of this. So it's kind of a fun, clever way to try and generate a few more bucks, and then to also have a personal touch that is given to the family.
Yeah, I believe this year they had like 65 stops. It was like 64
Wow.
or 65. It was a really high number.
That's so awesome.
And that doesn't include all the businesses who are like, we just want to sponsor it. Like, we're not going to have a stop, but we're going to give you some money and put our name on the shirt.
Yeah, that's so cool. So last year we raised $30K, and it was definitely a record-setting year. So
I bet you we'd be close to it this year.
Let's hope. I mean, no matter what, we know that it's going to be a good chunk of cash, and it's going to go directly to the family. So
yeah, and every bit helps.
yeah, well, exactly, and it's been going on for ages, and it only gets better and better every year. So I mean, kudos to everybody who puts this thing on, the Netzel family, all the volunteers that get involved with it, all the clubs, all the businesses, and then of course all of the people all the patrons, all the event attendees, all the people burning their fucking tires off and giving the city
money,
a
donations,
show.
and tickets and stuff.
Yeah, man, it's freaking awesome. And it's those kind of events, it's those situations that I look to as a, if people criticize the car community is like, we're just a bunch of roughnecks.
Yeah, we just like to go fast.
We just want to burn our
problems.
fucking tires, and we're sort of like this obnoxious culture or whatever. Now, fuck that. We are hardworking, giving people, and it is so exemplified in events like this.
There's no other event like it. Easily.
There's nothing. No, it's all across, like,
there's people that came up from the cities to do this.
I heard there's people from Nebraska.
Really?
I heard there's out-of-staters that are coming up.
That's
in fact,
fucking awesome.
Was it the Blown Mafia crew came up for it? That's a couple of those really, really gnarly cars.
No shit.
I tried to put this video on the loop, and I think I ended up with like a bunch of dead space in it, or something. I don't know. Hiccups happen. So this is a mixture of some photos by Mike Bushy Photography and Grand Aerial Photography. I believe that's what it was. Grand View Aerial Photography. Sorry, guys.
Top-notch photos.
Yeah, amazing, and there's so many good photos from the event. So
fucking sweet.
Yep, we're excited. Even in the time of a pandemic, that it can be this freaking good. So
you got to make the best of it.
Yeah, and the next podcast, if we're able to do it, which I mean, my daughter is going to be arriving, and you never know what's going to happen with a new baby.
The next week or so is going to be real interesting.
It's going to be yeah, totally. So hopefully we'll be able to do a podcast. I've already talked to the wife about it, and she says she's on board for as long as it's feasible, and feasible in terms of like as long as baby's healthy and everything goes good, and my son is adapting pretty well to it, because there's always adjustment with the second kid for the first, and so we should be able to do a podcast next week.
Just so you know that that adjustment takes years.
Oh, I believe it. I'm assuming the first week has got to be.
It's a little different.
Is it?
And it doesn't get better with 3. So Harper, my oldest, she'll be 5 in November. She's convinced she's having a baby sister, And obviously we're not far enough along to know. And so like I told her like, well, what if you have a brother? And she just cried.
Oh my god, really?
I'm like, but you like your brother that you have now? And she's like, she pauses for a second. She's like, well, I like his name.
That's awesome.
Like, oh, okay, kid.
Wow,
well,
nice.
You don't quite
Lovely.
understand that you don't get to pick what you have. It just happens.
Yeah,
But
well,
they-
that's it. That's precisely
They
it.
adjust, and then they'll get older, and then they'll give each other shit, and they bicker back and forth. And sometimes one of them will start it, sometimes the other.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure. I know it's going to be such a roller coaster seeing the kids kind of figuring each other out. But I know that first week's got to be kind of a lot of kind of rolling with the punches and adapting.
Yeah,
So
and there's a lot.
we'll see what happens, what that means for the podcast. But hopefully we'll be able to do a podcast next week. And
Hopefully.
at that podcast, we should be able to talk about the amount raised. Usually it happens within a week or so.
Sometimes it's two. Sometimes there's a couple of stragglers
Yeah.
getting their money in, but
So I'll talk to Tony and I'll find out. We don't want to announce anything too early. We definitely want to, sort of wait until the big announcement goes out, and we'll hopefully be able to do a podcast at the same time and talk about it.
Yeah.
According to Jeremy, who is chiming in, he says it's a record year if you do the math on the packets sold.
Yeah.
That's
That's
fucking nuts. So to
'cause
think
they
that
had,
in the
what?
time of COVID, so if you think about like right now, we're living in like history.
Yeah.
You look back on like the 1920s, and there's just the insanity, that fucking plague that was happening, the pandemic, the Spanish flu.
Spanish flu was the last big
You were
one.
thinking about the Great Depression, all those insane things that happened in that era. Like, we're actually living in a pretty wild chunk of history right now.
Yeah.
This year,
and
2020 has been insane.
I can't help but think. I wonder if that had a little bit to do with it. If everyone's just itching to, we didn't get to do anything all summer.
Right.
So everyone's like, cool. Cruise for Cancer is still going on. Yes.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yes, I'm gonna make that happen.
No matter where you stand, whatever your belief system is with all of this, if you apply politics to the whole pandemic, or if you're following science, or whatever the fuck, wherever you fit in all of this. This event being outdoors, there was tons of adapting to make it work, to make it safer. The fact that in that time when all of that shit is going on, we set a record year for attendees for something like
Badass.
that is incredible. I mean,
Yeah.
that's just a testament to like how giving this community is and how much they're willing to rally around a cause. That's so cool.
yeah.
I know I'm standing on a soapbox right now, and it's mostly just because I adore the event so much.
Well, yeah, like I said, it's the one event in a year that it's fantastic.
Yeah.
There's no negatives to it. It's all positives. Everything is welcome.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
I heard there's some like just stock vehicles, people in their brand new pickup trucks cruising along.
Yep.
Okay, that's fine. That's awesome.
Well, yeah, it doesn't matter what you
Just
drive.
come out, enjoy the day, enjoy the cars. You kicking shit?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Well, it doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't matter. I mean, like the beauty of it is, even if you're driving around in a Cavalier 4-door, you're still appreciating all the cars that are around you. So
Exactly.
it doesn't matter. Like, and that's one of the things that I wish the car community was a little more lenient about.
A little bit more forgiving.
Is that if you drive a piece of shit that's completely uncustomizable, but if you're still enthusiastic about cars, you're a car enthusiast as far
Oh
as
yeah,
I'm concerned.
exactly.
So it's awesome to see people that are cruising around and just like, yeah, your daily driver, your boring ass daily driver, and they're still a part of it, and they're still being excited, and they're still chipping into the cause. I think that's a freaking beautiful thing.
Fuck yeah.
So, let's talk a little bit about things that fail.
I have not seen this yet.
BMW.
I have not seen the new BMW
Okay,
yet.
so BMW just announced their new M Series cars.
What the hell is up with that front grille bumper
Right, the
combination?
fucking grill got bigger.
How does it go
It's
into the
bigger.
bumper?
Isn't that insane?
I see the rear end of the car at
It's
first.
like
I'm like, oh, that looks pretty
basically-
good. And then
it's-
you see the...
It's the, what do they call them? The kidney?
Yeah.
It's the kidney is so big now that it's just swollen. It's gone
What?
from the frickin' hood down to the bottom of the front bumper, down to like a
Why?
valence.
What the hell are you doing, BMW?
I don't understand. I don't understand what the point of this is.
No, it looks like shit.
I don't know who designs this thing, but it's just stop.
Yeah.
Stop. They were so like the
Here's the
E92
thing.
was so pretty.
Here's the thing. You take away that, and you have a beautiful looking car.
It's gorgeous.
But that grill bumper combo is so bad, it makes the rest of the car look like shit.
I know. And I know that, like, your initial reaction, everybody's initial reaction is always a little more harsh. And in time, you get a little more accustomed to it.
Oh, not that, though.
It's so bad. I don't know why they think that that's a good look. And I mean, they actually do this. They do the license plate on the front of it too, which is kind of strange.
Yeah.
It almost makes me wonder if, like, because I've never seen a BMW ad before that has the license plate on the front. That it leads me to think that, like, they did that on purpose to dial it back. Like, oh, we gotta distract a little bit.
This looks like crap. They're gonna notice, so we'll just cover it up.
It's so bad. It's so bad.
Man, what the hell?
But here's the thing. Like you just said, if you look at the rest of the body lines in the M3 and the M4,
It's great.
they're gorgeous.
Yeah, they're fantastic.
That's the thing is, like, BMW continues to make the bodies perfect.
Yes.
They're more and more beautiful every year, but the front ends, what the heck are they thinking? I mean, the headlights are even great.
Yeah.
But it's
everything
why?
about it's
why?
Just, it's just that center of the front end.
It's so bad. I mean, Toyota would do a better job, and their front ends have gotten hideous too, with the exception of the new Camry. The new Camry actually looks
Yeah,
okay.
I'll give you that.
It's kind of okay.
But
It's
like
mostly
but the
okay.
Lexus front ends where they're just kind of
I know, they should just, like,
hourglass
left it at the
grill.
LFA. I don't know.
come on, BMW.
We'll find a little more information out about the new M Series cars. I'm willing to bet that the performance is going to be so
Top
significant
notch.
that
Yeah.
it's going to, like, make us ignore the fact that the front end is fucking hideous.
Unless it comes with a bunch of alcohol, I am not going to forgive that front
Right?
end.
You need beer goggles to drive the fucking
Yeah,
thing.
no shit. What do you
I
keep
know,
getting
it's
DUIs
so
in this?
bad.
Because I can't stand looking at it.
I don't know, dude. I don't know. Oh my god. Well, okay. So, what would you drive over that? Not literally over it, but what would you drive instead of it?
Are we talking like modern cars?
Whatever.
Well, okay, then I'm gonna have to go with my E30. We're gonna have to go with my classic looking BMW.
All right. So this is the other beer that I had brought out. We talked
extra
about
amber.
a little nod to bent paddle in the original post. So this is 14 degree ESB. So this is sort of an amber ale. Really good, really smooth beer. A little bit heavier. Fantastic.
Very fantastic.
So I got to save the other two saisons because my wife loves saisons.
Okay, that
and
makes
she's
sense then.
about to kick a baby out of her cooch, and
Almost
I want
ruined
her
Aiden's
to have a
mic.
beer that she's gonna like. Was that?
What's that? Almost ruined Aiden's mic by spewing beer all over it.
Yeah. All right.
So what would I drive over that?
Yeah. I mean, I mean, would you drive a Pinto over that?
I'd drive a Pacer.
Mm-hmm.
But Pacers are cool.
The Murph Mobile.
Oh yeah. What was the? There's a two-door BMW. It was like an.
There's a lot of two-door
Yeah, I know. I
BMWs.
didn't really narrow that down.
The E9, like the really vintage one.
No, it's a newer vehicle.
Newer
I
one.
know the D9 you're talking about.
The
masterpiece.
1M.
Yeah, the 1M. Those are cool.
So yeah, as far as like
kind of a
newer
redhead-
BMWs go for
Yeah,
me,
the
the
1M.
1M is an absolute masterpiece.
Yeah.
After seeing it on Top Gear,
Oh yeah. It's a little bit of a redheaded subchild, I feel.
it's really small
Yeah,
compared to
it's
all the
really
other
small.
ones. But
But
honestly, I
it's
think
so
it's
good.
it's the right direction. We don't need cars to be bigger, and yet
No.
these manufacturers continue to make these giant bulbous cars.
I like how we're having this conversation and my wife drives a Pilot.
I think the Pilot's a great car.
Oh,
though.
it's a
Like
fantastic
the
car.
Pilot's a really
She-
good, like full size
she-
SUV.
And that's why she bought it.
It's
she,
got a
she
3.5
bought
liter.
it for the we can load up everybody and go down to the cities.
Here's the kicker: the Pilot has the towing capacity of my pickup.
yeah.
It's the J35, so it makes I think 300 horsepower, 350 foot-pounds, something like that.
Yeah, it's got the towing capacity of a pickup, but the
it
comfort
has-
of a luxury car.
It's like 5,000 or 6,000 gross vehicle weight towing capacity, and my truck I'm pretty sure is about that, or it's like 5,500 or something like that. It's an OBS. So yeah, they're great. I was looking at the Ridgeline for a minute there.
It's the same thing.
and it's this exact same thing basically.
Yeah, they just chop it off a little bit.
Yeah, so it's a very, very utilitarian SUV. So I mean, I wouldn't knock a Pilot any day. But yeah, so
What would you drive instead of that then?
a fucking
anything?
1990 Cavalier Z24.
Oh God, that's a
I
Pilot
wouldn't drive
shit.
a Lumina over it. No, I all shenanigans aside, the front end is really nasty to me, but I'm sure the performance far outweighs
Yeah.
it. Where it's like,
You just buy a Mercedes is what you would do.
I don't even know. No, I don't know. I don't know. I like the new Mercedes. They're fine. They've had a few wagons that I find to be just absolutely gorgeous, but yeah, I don't know. It's an okay car. I think I would probably drive a A1 Sirocco over that.
Ooh.
Okay, so we've already touched on Marketplace, haven't we?
Yes, we have.
Okay. Well, let's talk about the next episode on our main channel.
So, we do YouTube channel stuff, and
We got a YouTube channel, dude.
we finally have a new episode coming out. Jake does our editing, and as you guys all know, he's been super busy with a house remodel, and kids, and all that fun stuff.
So I've had a absolutely insane summer. We decided to just crank everything out in 1 year, apparently, or rather in like 4 months. So I built a fence, built a playhouse for the kids, redid a little bit of landscaping. I did, oh my God, what else did I do? I redid my son's room, and then redid the master bedroom. There's something else that I know that I'm missing.
Did you guys redo your living room this year? Or was that last year?
I think I actually might have been this year. We did a lot of stuff in the house. So for the last month now, I've been just like
your kitchen. These are the cupboards.
Yes. Well, I started redoing the kitchen, which we'll finish up here next. Yeah. Well, redoing is more like just a light refresh.
Yeah.
Because we might do an addition off the back of the house, and then the kitchen. I don't want to sink any money into it now because it's all going to get tore apart at that point. So there's no sense in sinking anything more than paint, laminate countertops,
all
basic stuff, appliances,
all
things
the
that
easy
are
stuff.
easy to swap around. But yeah, so the master bedroom's been really, really a big job. It's skim coating, it's drywall in the closet, it's redoing the floors, it was doing all new electrical, entire new run all the way from the box, 20 amp circuit, new outlets, everything, snaking wires through the walls. There's a lot. And actually, if you guys have been watching the podcast, you've probably seen some of the photos from it. But if all goes as planned, next week I'll be sharing a actual like cribs style.
Definitely gotta do it that way.
Showing off what exactly it looks like, kind of the semi-finished product. It's almost done. The wainscoting's almost 100% done. So the photos I'll be sharing won't be perfect. It won't be exactly finished, but it'll be close enough that you guys can see what I did. So that's a big reason why the videos have been kind of slow getting out there. And also projects have just sort of, we've had to skip a few days. We've had vacations, and then I've had a lot of hustling to kind of get things done before my baby arrives, because wife and I were living in a different room, which is technically her room. So there's been a lot of jostling in the house. So that's why videos haven't been coming out.
But it is what it is, and yeah, so we have new stuff uploaded.
We do.
Tomorrow.
So what we have here is this is episode 7 of the Shoebox Ford build. This guy is video capture device. Bear with me. I'm gonna move this down just ever so slightly. There we go. Hey, now it's not cutting off my bald spot. I want to make sure you guys can see that.
The lighting got better.
Episode 7 of the Shoebox Ford build series is the steering system. So up to this point, we have done a motor swap. We've done the tunnel. We've done brakes. We've done the front end. Front clip, not just the front end. Not like we're replacing front end components.
We pretty much done.
Chopped the front end off and welded on a S10 clip. So pretty significant work to it. And now we're sort of dialing in those next steps. Steering was a huge one and a very exciting one.
Yeah, we custom mounted a brand new steering column from Speedway.
Yep. So Speedway Motors makes a handful of sort of in-house built steering columns. They're really pretty. They've got like a bare metal one, and they got a chrome. I opted for the chrome just because I'd have to tear it down to powder coat it, and I just wasn't willing to go to that extent.
Just a heads up, if you order it and you got the shifter on the column, there's a little spring that's a pain in the ass.
Oh my god!
And you need 2 people to install it.
So the shifter arm has a spring that goes in it, and it's shipped disassembled. And
it's dumb.
Do not try and put the spring in it while the steering column is installed. It will not happen. It will fall into the body of it and then just flop
then you
around.
have to take the whole thing back
tear
apart.
it all back out. We
It's-
learned that the hard way.
It's dumb, but it looks beautiful now that it's in there.
Yeah.
Got a custom steering shaft.
Yep.
It's
Yeah, we
installed.
custom made the steering shaft. We've got a couple of tricks that we use to kind of retain everything on it.
Yeah.
And then the steering wheel, which is sort of the
Yes.
crescendo of the whole thing, is gorgeous piece. So you guys will have to watch the episode to see how that all comes together. That is debuting tomorrow at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. We'll have that released and going up on the main channel. The main channel is Dad Mods. This is Brews of the Dudes. This is our second channel. We've sort of divided the two. We used to be on the same channel, but we definitely noticed that there are some people that would prefer to only get our regular episodes.
And some people that only want the podcast.
Yep.
So.
So we just made two different ones, and they'll complement each other. We'll give nods to each other. Hey, subscribe to one, feel like checking out the other. But we're ultimately doing this to, not bombard everybody with notifications.
So you have the option. We
You
did this
do.
for you guys.
Exactly. Yeah. Like everything, we do everything for you guys.
Yep.
So yeah. There we go.
Yeah.
So that's going out tomorrow morning. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. Let us know if you do. If you think it's a big pile of garbage, let us know that too.
Sure. Yeah. I want to hear
Don't
about
let us know that. Okay, what else we got here, buddy?
Let's see. We did marketplace. We did we have fails. We can do fails. I have a fail.
You have a fail.
I have a
That's
fail.
right. You do have a fail.
Yep, my fail. No, it's just my buddy. Okay, so I got to go down to Mallards with Minnesota, which is about 2 hours, not quite 2 hours, kind of southwest of here. And so this is a truck that we installed what's called an Easy Track system. It's a hydraulic 4-wheel drive. And there's a bunch of seals and stuff in there. And one of the seals were leaking, so we had to go out there and do warranty work. Me and another tech, I've never done this before. And
It's amazing how sensitive these are.
you okay?
Sorry about that, guys.
So yeah, I've never done this before. It takes about 2.5 hours per side to do. You have to rip the whole spindle apart, all that kind of stuff, and replace the seal that's in there. And it went really smoothly until we went to test it. There's a big it's not a gasket. It's kind of an O-ring. It's kind of not. Rubber seal that goes around the outside of that big hub piece that you see sitting down in the bottom left corner. And what sucks is it doesn't stay in place. So you have to use a little bit of Vaseline to kind of help hold it into place. And as I was reinstalling it, my coworker Kyle.
Do you guys ever notice that the Vaseline containers, there's less in it and there's no jobs happening?
Yeah, my boss is kind of hands-on sometimes.
Perfect.
Who wants the good job?
Do you find that you need to warm the Vaseline up first? You guys work in a cold shop?
Well,
so the Vaseline's extra thick?
But see, here's the trick. So when we drove down, we just put it on the engine cover.
Oh,
Shut the hood.
perfect. There you go.
So
'Cause,
warmed it up on the way
you
down.
don't want chalk on the bar.
No, you don't.
No, exactly. All right, so you Vaseline it up.
Yep.
Makes it easier to slide it in.
Yep, got this this seal into place, put it all back together, and we have to put about 12 gallons of hydraulic fluid back into the system because there's no shuttle valve. So when one seal leaks, it just
sure.
leaks out everything.
Seeps.
So we put in about 7 gallons to start, and then we're like, okay, well, let's check for leaks. The side that my coworker did, nice and dry, no problems. Mine is pissing out fluid. So
that's either job security or not job security.
So what sucked
it could go
is-
either way.
What we discovered is that the hardest part of that job is that seal got pinched. It must have popped off because you can't see it. There's another big kind of there's a big circle aluminum piece, that kind of outer ring that goes on that, and then another piece that bolts on through all of that as well. So you can't really see if it pops off or slides around once you start putting stuff back together. You're kind of
funky.
You're kind of hoping for the best.
Okay.
So I ended up pinching about 1.5 inch section of it, and we brought just enough hydraulic fluid to refill this system. So we had to catch as much as we could, hopefully keep it like we had 5-gallon buckets. So we're just shoving buckets under it. We're like, okay, we have to pop off the seal now and put in a new one real quick without draining the system all the way. And it took,
oh my God.
Yeah, it was such a pain in the ass.
Wow, that sounds like a mess.
Yeah, and the shit thing is, like, I did everything right except for that one unlucky bit. My guess is, so there's these like 4-inch long bolts that slide through everything, And when I went to go line up the holes, it must have popped that seal off just enough that when we tightened it all down, it pinched it.
So a couple weeks back, you shared a photo that looked like you soiled your drawers. It looks like you just took the nastiest shit ever.
Taco Bell is not my friend.
No. I mean, that, or it looks like you had like the like intestinal bleeding shit. It was just like black boxers that you shared. So you seem to have an issue with hydraulic setups.
I'm an electrical guy. I specialize in electrical work, and I can wrench, like I can tear all this stuff apart. But
you're a great wrench.
I have
just hydraulic systems are your.
I just have bad luck with hydraulics.
crux.
Yeah, I just have real bad luck.
Well, hey, I don't know anything about it. I don't know anything about hydraulics other than like I don't know anything about hydraulics. I just don't. Brake systems, power steering.
My introduction to hydraulics was Glenn, our buddy Glenn. He trained me in actually for this job, and I'm taking apart a tele cylinder, and there's a pressure valve that's in there called a holding valve that keeps it from pushing fluid back to the system. So it actually holds everything open. And we're going to replace it. And he's like, "No, what you want to do is crack it free and let the pressure leave." Like, oh, okay, I get that. I'm like, it's just gonna make a big mess. He's like, "No, it's under so much pressure you can actually get hydraulic injection, and it'll inject into your skin." And if that happens, you have to get rushed to the hospital, and they have to cut your skin open and get all the hydraulic fluid out.
Oh my god!
Because it will kill you if it gets to your heart.
Oh, that's fucking gross.
So I'm like,
oh my god!
That was my first introduction to hydraulic fluid. I'm like, oh.
Guess what? This can kill you.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't want to do this.
Oh.
Like, as somebody who's got thousands of dollars invested into his body and who likes to live usually, I don't want to deal with that shit.
He's got penile implants.
One.
He wanted a better hang.
I actually had to get a reduction because my back was hurting.
Oh, fair enough. Oh my god! So, do you think in the zombie apocalypse, a large wang will serve you?
Maybe, because if you're stuck in a grocery store and you have ammunition, use it as a battering ram and just beat up zombies.
So, if you think back to like the GoldenEye days, we used to play GoldenEye in the N64.
Okay, that's what you meant by GoldenEye.
Like once you would run out of weapons, you'd have to fucking hand chop or whatever. So if you had a big swing,
you want to beat you over with your slog?
Yeah, I mean that'd be a completely different version of the game. But
think about the people stumbling upon that zombie. Like, how do you think he died? Oh, he looked like he was clubbed to death.
Yeah, right. That's a weird looking bruise.
He was hit in the head with a mushroom. Okay.
Jesus.
Lay off the Pellamordas, man.
Jesus, this guy get ran over by a horse? What the fuck? Oh my fucking god, man. Yeah, so that looks like a pretty nasty ass job.
Yeah,
man.
it wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
The thing that sucked is we weren't in our shop, so we just brought everything we hoped we needed and then some.
How many lugs is on that thing?
God, 12?
12 lugs?
10 or 12?
That's one thing that's always blown my mind is like the amount of like wheel bolts that are required.
The bolts, the nuts that hold the wheels into place, 500 foot-pounds.
Each one
yes,
of
each
the
one.
10 or 12
yes,
bolts?
It's 500 foot-pounds.
500.
The hardware that's inside
They carry that much weight?
That hardware that's inside that hub that we tore apart, there's 4 bolts that get torqued into 65 foot-pounds, and then another 12 or 14 that are like 105.
So there's no like roadside repairs with that. That's they like load it up on a wrecker and haul it into a shop.
Yeah, this seal started to leak.
Nobody's breaking 500 foot-pounds on the road.
This seal started to leak. They called us and, hey, it's leaking. So we packed up. We left at like 5:45 in the morning, drove down, fixed it at their shop, which really sucked because
my god, that's absolutely insane.
We had like improvised on some of our tooling that we needed because we didn't realize we needed it. And then
that's cool.
Got it all done, drove back out home at like 4.
Is that an exciting aspect of the job? When you have to get creative?
No, not in this aspect. So there's...
Yeah, because it's more about flagging charge hours, I suppose. It's like get it done as fast as possible.
No, he's like, just get it done, do it right. So there's... On the spindle, you can't see it from this pic too well. There's a metal seal is what failed. And they came out with an update that's got a little O-ring inside of that kind of helps keep everything sealed up better. So we had to pop that off, which we're the first people ever to have to replace this. They just came out with a special tool to install the new one, there's two made in the world, and we yeah. So that's how that's how new this stuff is that we're working on. So we go to put the new one on, and we're like, how do you pound? It's on there. Like, we took the old one off. It shot 10 feet across the shop.
Jesus.
So we're like, how do we get the new one on? Luckily we brought down some garage wood with us. We had
always garage wood.
We had to find a random saw in their shop and chop it up into bits. That way we could both hammer on the new one at the same time. And it was so sketchy. Like, we split it and stuff like that. Like, so we were just making the best of what we had, and I don't know. All in all, it was nice to get out of the shop for a day and just me and one coworker. There's nobody else there. It's kind of nice to work on something different, learn something.
Well, yeah, totally, man.
But yeah. So my fail is, luckily Kyle, the guy I was working with, had the state of mind to bring 3 kits with, because we did both sides of the truck. So he brought a third kit down for the just in case. And luckily he did, because we were out of seals.
Yeah. Well, no shit, man. That's pretty wild. So do you think that you guys will ever move to electric trucks?
Yes, actually, I can tell you we have.
Shit.
We have a hybrid. I haven't had to work on it. My company that I work for, though, does have a couple of hybrids that they're diesel powered, but they can run off electric. So you can run the equipment without using the actual truck motor and whatnot.
Oh, that's so cool. Okay, so one of the things that I wonder about is like, so obviously, like, we've seen Tesla roll out the Cybertruck.
Yeah.
Before that, there was the Rivian. The Rivian's actually a
I haven't seen that one.
Really badass truck. It looks like a truck. It's really cool looking.
A truck that looks like a truck. Good job.
No, dude. I mean, it's well, you see the Cybertruck, dude. The thing looks like a toddler sketch.
It looks like something you'd use to hold the door open.
Yeah, it's a wedge.
It's a wedge.
Exactly.
It's so cool.
It's a fucking door wedge.
Drive the shit out of that.
I wouldn't buy it.
I wouldn't buy it,
but I'd appreciate it from a distance. I'd throw steel balls at the windows
just to see if you can break them.
So I wonder, like, where things are going in terms of, like, are the electric motors, are the electric trucks going to eventually outperform the gassers, and will we start seeing them in industrial applications, or are industrial applications going to be kind of like the last bastion of dinosaur powered
I think so.
Vehicles?
I think they'll be the last ones. A lot of it is like the company I work for, we don't make our own chassis, so we have to work with.
They're what Peterbilt, International,
Freightliner, and International are the two big ones for bigger trucks. Lots of Fords for the smaller trucks. So I don't see it making that jump anytime soon. But like, to run all the equipment, you have to have the truck running, so you have hydraulic pressure.
Oh, sure, okay.
So I could see a lot of that side being electric, of like electric pumps pushing the hydraulic fluid instead of running off of the transmission on the truck.
It makes you wonder if that's going to improve the efficiency of it then. I wonder.
All I know is the last electric truck we had in the shop was a couple months ago, and that thing was a pain in the ass.
Yeah, I believe
it.
Like,
it didn't want to start at times. At one point in time, it started itself. It kicked on the hybrid side of it. We don't know why. None of us were like, who's working on that?
Possessed.
And we're like, we haven't touched that in two days.
Well, so like, we in the podcast today, we've kind of covered quite the gamut, and we go all the way back to 1893.
Yes.
Was that funky?
2 years after you were born.
Exactly. So if you think about like where we're at with electric technology, we're kind of in like the same boat. So, we had the horses back then, and then came internal combustion. So it makes you wonder if this is comparable to sort of that era of time where now, horses were probably very dialed in. They had a good system. The buggies were probably pretty comfortable. They probably worked really good. The horses
aren't very complicated.
Always been.
Does it have 4 legs? Yes, cool. It'll work.
Run? No, it doesn't run. Shoot it. But so we're kind of on that cusp of like moving into electric power in a lot of these aspects. But I really wonder if like when it will begin to outperform in the really substantial areas where like industrial is.
I don't know.
Industrial is pretty high demand.
Yeah, I think industrial is probably a little bit further out, but I'd say as like civilian use for the typical cars and trucks, stuff like that, I'd say within the next 10 years.
For sure.
we're going to see electric vehicles start to outperform
Well,
gas
Christ,
powered.
California just rolled out a new law. I don't know if it's written into law or if it's still in the sort of like planning phases, or it's sort of proposal level. But they just they're talking about something, or it's signed maybe, that by 2035, was it 35?
You have no clue, deal.
2035, no gas-powered cars can be sold
No shit.
in California.
No shit.
Yeah.
That doesn't surprise me. California's always attempted to stay ahead of everybody, I feel.
They really have. And bear with me, guys. I'm actually going to Google that just to make sure that I've got the date correctly. But yeah, I believe...
I think more states and probably even more countries like over in Europe and stuff might follow suit with that, as pushing for more electric vehicles. I mean, even Duluth, we've seen a little bit more catering towards them.
So I was right. Yeah, 2035, California is banning gasoline-powered vehicle sales. I doubt that's industrial. I'm going to assume that's more just consumer level kind of cars. But and that's not even the most aggressive in the world. Like, I think France is actually the most aggressive.
I see that feasible, to be honest.
So here's the 15 years? Or,
so I'm assuming we're talking...
15 years of development?
We're talking new vehicles, right?
New vehicles.
Okay,
not like resale, or they're not banning like gasoline powered vehicles. We're going to keep kicking that thing. Gasoline powered vehicles or anything like that. It's new vehicle production. It's new vehicle sales. They don't want it.
Yeah, I get that. And
here's the thing. In 15 years...
That's a lot of time.
So California gets a lot of shit. And honestly, the place has got kind of a mass exodus happening right now because it's a shit show.
Yeah.
We're not going to go into that because we don't touch a lot on politics on this podcast. But they're a fucking mess. Put it that way. So 15 years, I think, is actually a really reasonable timeline.
Oh, I agree.
I don't love that they're banning it because I never like the idea of sort of eliminating choice. That seems a little extreme.
I understand the push for it, but yeah, a straight ban makes no sense to me.
I mean, they're probably thinking like in terms of climate change. They're probably thinking like that's way too long in terms of climate change. But still, 15 years, a lot happens in that time. Yeah. I mean, a lot can change. Things can get rolled back. Things can get changed. Things can get moved up. Whatever. But that's sort of they're setting a standard for, okay, well, this is when we expect that we're no longer going to be using internal combustion engines in new vehicles.
Yeah, my guess is that'll probably get changed a little bit, but
if you can think about in terms of like the performance, though, that's going to happen in 15 years. In electric vehicles, it's going to be
nuts,
incredible.
Yeah, I mean, Tesla makes fantastic vehicles, and
they do.
The biggest drawback to them is the range. It's the range and the charge rate. That's the two things holding back electric vehicles.
Completely, yeah. So, the speed in which these batteries can charge, and to me, that feels like. I think it's a tall order to ask for anything more than a 20-minute charge window.
Yeah.
Which I think they're at 25 minutes or something like that right now with Tesla's charging machines or whatever. Or the hypercharge or whatever like cool name.
But see, that's not even that bad considering most people are buying them to like get to work. You plug them in.
Yeah, and it's like... I mean, I respect people's gripe about that. 25 minutes is a fair amount of time as opposed to 5 minutes for pumping gas or 8 minutes or whatever it is. You're doubling, tripling your time at the gas pump.
Oh, yeah, especially if you're going on a road trip.
Yeah.
I mean, you're adding an hour and a half to a 10-hour drive.
But you have to assume that they know this. They know that that's the case. Because if you think about, like, so... If you sit at a gas pump for 8 minutes and you go there, you fill up your tank, there's got to be a recycling effect. So that gas pump needs to be available as soon as possible if you live in a busy metro area. Well, what's going to happen when you've got charging ports for electric cars, and electric cars are the dominant vehicles on the road? We got to have good turnover rate. Mm-hmm. So I'm really curious to see how that plays out, because if it's a 20-minute charge timeline, I mean, 20 minutes is a long time for cars to sort of recycle through that.
Yeah.
So it makes you wonder, like, how that's going to work, because that just requires more real estate. I mean, that's another, like,
I'm not sure how they're gonna
downfall.
Yeah, because you go from a city corner for your gas station to what, a couple blocks to have a recharging area for all the electric vehicles.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I don't know how that's gonna play out, but it's pretty interesting. So, you got anything else?
No, I actually do not.
Okay, well, sounds good. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning into Brews of the Dudes, number 14.
Yep.
14 weeks
Yeah,
we've been doing this.
That's a good run.
Technically 15 weeks since we started. We did take 1 week off in there, but that's it. I've had a lot of fun so far.
It's been a blast.
Yeah, this has been awesome.
A lot of good beer, a lot of good conversations.
So, what we're gonna do, ladies and gentlemen, first, actually, before we sign off, I want to have one last little nod to Cruise for Cancer. Just amazing work. We've seen a few comments now from, actually, Jeremy's chimed in saying that, like, we're looking at maybe the biggest year yet.
Yeah.
Really excited to see how that plays out. So amazing work to the Netzel family and all the volunteers. So I think we got to sign this thing off.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So our closing track is a special one by a local band, my good buddy Ryan, that I actually grew up with. It's crazy to think I
Grew up with.
No, literally.
Oh.
Yeah,
okay.
like
thought you've
I
never grown
remember
up.
this kid from elementary
You
school.
still act like a kid. That's why I'm like, you never
Well,
really grew
yeah.
up.
Well, honestly, like
You learn to dress yourself. It's not
homie,
growing up.
age is a state of mind, man.
All right, fair
Age
enough.
is a state of mind. So you can either be a 20-year-old that acts like a 50-year-old, or you can be a 50-year-old that thinks like a 25-year-old. I wouldn't want to be a 50-year-old that thinks like a 20-year-old. Know what I mean? So anyways, thank you very much, guys. Enjoy this final track, and we'll see you guys next week for another episode of Brews with the
Dudes.